Liking someone is like a midsummer rainstorm that drenches me before I can open an umbrella. I panic at first, but when the rain finally stops, the soaked clothes bring a refreshing coolness that fights the summer heat. Only then do I realize this is a gift of youth, and I start hoping it comes harder, and secret love is secret because it hides on the moon's far side, covered repeatedly by words that say yes, but mean no, by hesitation and silence. So on the surface, I returned to the old Claire. I was normal. Ethan became abnormal. Even though I repeatedly assured myself I wasn't dating, Ethan still worried. Every time he picked me up or dropped me off, his eyes acted like radar, scanning everyone who came near me. When I told Auntie Jo funny stories from school, Ethan used to ignore them. He said since the stories weren't meant for him, he had no right to listen. Now, he said, whoever hears them hears them, one more or less makes no difference. He even put down his work, casually sat on the sofa nearby, openly listened, and occasionally shared his thoughts. Today, the homeroom teacher invited an outstanding alumnus to share experiences. Halfway through, the senior suddenly stopped speaking. He glanced around and saw a classmate sleeping soundly in the back row. Politely apologized to the audience, then dashed down to wake the student up, shaking so hard it sounded like knocking. That classmate was usually the worst in class and had a bad temper. Auntie Jo said, did they fight? I said no. After being woken, that student changed expression and sat up straight without a word. Seeing that, everyone else who was dozing off got scared awake, afraid of getting hit. Later we learned the senior was that student's older brother. Auntie wiped tears of laughter and asked, that worst student sounds interesting. You said his name was something like Wang, right? Wangjia. Ethan suddenly interjected. Yes, that one. Auntie clapped her hands. Later I learned Ethan had secretly joined the parents' chat group and memorized every classmate's name. I don't like using electronics, so I habitually read a newspaper while eating breakfast. I took the paper he handed me and glanced at the bold black headline. Shocking. Top high school students fail after early dating. I picked up a second paper. The same bold headline. Warning. Tragic incident caused by early dating. I looked up. Ethan said seriously. See? I told you early dating is bad. I pointed to the two papers and said softly. But Daily News stopped publishing in 2008 and Morning Express ceased in 2015. He was speechless. Indeed, human potential is limitless. He even managed to fake newspapers. The homeroom teacher announced a parent meeting on Monday with the theme of gratitude. This time, I wanted Auntie Jo to attend, but she still refused, saying she wasn't good at such events. Ethan was eager and said he was free anyway. If I had any foresight, I would have rather gone alone than agreed to let Ethan come. At the meeting, the homeroom teacher gave speech after speech, setting an emotional tone. For gratitude, the classroom seats were rearranged into a square, with parents sitting in their seats and students standing directly opposite them. As the music started, they sang and performed hand gestures along. I once really wanted to know, how many times do these same words need to be said before they're okay? Rarely hugging first, even if it's for pride, smiling shyly. At first, the students were quite awkward, but as the music gradually progressed and the homeroom teacher gently guided them with an immersive performance, the students got into the groove, and the parents began to have tears shimmering in their eyes. Everyone was immersed in the emotional atmosphere. Ethan leaned back in his chair, tilting his chin slightly up, his gaze hotter and more direct than usual. Our eyes met in the air, and being stared at like that made me nervous, my heart pounding as if it would burst out of my chest. I accidentally messed up my moves. Since I was already off-key while singing, the homeroom teacher had asked me to lip-sync, but now I was out of rhythm, unable to blend into the mood at all. Praising this ordinary life, one or two lines can't finish expressing gratitude as heavy as a mountain. As heavy as a mountain, it sounds unnatural. Looking back, saying thank you is actually a feeling of owing more. Oh, Mom and Dad gave me quite a lot, enough for me to strive in this era, enough for me to live. The atmosphere in the classroom reached its peak with the music. The singing around was intermittent and choked with sobs, parents' eyes glistening with tears, and crying sounds continuously flowing. I stood awkwardly in place because I couldn't see our Y.at that moment. Among all the crying, suddenly came a muffled laugh that was completely out of place. Ethan turned his face to the side, unable to suppress the smile at the corner of his lips. Even his eyebrows curved. Strangely, seeing him laugh made me embarrassed but amused, and I couldn't help but laugh along. I looked down at my toes, laughing until my shoulders shook, but laughter is contagious. A classmate near me also started laughing inexplicably, tears still on their face, laughing until their nose bubbled. This scene looked even funnier to others. So more people started laughing. The emotional scene suddenly turned comedic. The homeroom teacher, acting as stage controller, looked complicated. He looked at Ethan and me with a pleading expression. "Why don't you two go outside for a walk?" Thus, for the first parent meeting, both a parent and a student were kicked out. Ethan and I wandered around the empty campus. I hung my head low. He rubbed his nose bridge. "It really wasn't intentional. It's just that you were so flustered you were hilarious." Me, time flew by, and before I knew it, I had entered my senior year. The school shortened breaks from every 2 weeks to once a month. I spent even less time with them. The good news was the doctor said Auntie Jo's depression was nearly cured. She rarely sat at the door staring at the osmanthus tree anymore. She said the wind there was strong and sunny, and there was nothing interesting to see. She also seldom got up at midnight to hang wind chimes and dance under the tree. She said she forgot how to dance. She no longer immersed herself in books, but went outside more to follow the doctor's advice, occasionally joining square dances or shopping. Every time I went home, she had new clothes she bought for me. As for Ethan, I worried he might like someone else, and at the same time worried someone else might like him. The feeling of having someone on my mind and looking forward to something every day became addictive. One night during break, I went home. As usual, I sat beside Ethan studying while he tattooed a client. The only difference was the client was a very pretty short-haired woman. She wore a black camisole, a water-ink-style iris tattoo covering half her collarbone, and her exposed waist and stomach faintly showed defined abs. She was confident and intense. She seemed very familiar with Ethan, her words implying something unusual. I lowered my head pretending to do homework, but my ears were practically upright. Ethan asked her what design she chose. She took out her phone, casually swiped a bit, and pointed at a male celebrity on the screen. "Whatever, just tattoo someone handsome." "Are you sure?" She smiled slightly, lips curved. "Or you could tattoo yourself. I think you're way more handsome than them." I subconsciously looked up. Ethan glanced at her, expressionless, neither agreeing nor refusing. I quietly gripped my pen tighter. Not saying no means yes, right? Suddenly, she looked at me. "Sis, do me a favor and take a photo of us. If you're going to get a tattoo, get a big one. Might as well tattoo both of us." I dropped my pen on the floor. It rolled twice. Ethan put down the tattoo book, leaned back slowly, and said, "You better really dare to get that tattoo." Her eyes flickered and she sneered. "What am I scared of? You're the one who's reluctant, afraid your girlfriend will misunderstand?" "Oh wait, you don't have a girlfriend, so you're just afraid your crush will misunderstand." She smiled meaningfully at me. That look, I felt like she saw something. Seeing Ethan ignore her, she got up and sat beside me, putting an arm around my shoulder. She was so friendly it was almost forward. Ethan's not likable, but his sister is the exact opposite. Such a pretty first love face, you must have many admirers at school. Don't let others get the benefits. I have a brother your age, maybe you should consider it. I was about to refuse when my arm was gently nudged. Our eyes met. My heart pounded hard. I seemed to suddenly understand what she meant. I pretended to be shy and looked down silently. "Consider my ass." Ethan sneered, picked up his phone, and called someone, speaking harshly. "Why the hell aren't you here yet? Don't you want your girlfriend anymore?" On the other end was Officer Noah, panting. "Don't let her run off. I'm at the door." Me. So the pretty woman was Officer Noah's girlfriend? Did they have a fight? The person beside him zipped up his jacket and rolled his eyes at Ethan. Less than a minute later, Officer Noah rushed in. He squatted in front of the pretty woman, speaking kindly. Last time you got tattooed, you said it hurt too much and wouldn't do it again? She was expressionless. None of your business. Noah coaxed softly. So, what do you want to get tattooed this time? I want a photo of me and your girlfriend. Ethan fanned the flames, enjoying the drama. Noah was stunned for a moment, then nodded. All right, then get one for me too. Just tattoo little Claire. Ethan's face darkened abruptly. Are you crazy? Later. The pretty woman was forcibly carried away by Officer Noah. Passing by me, she hinted. Sis, you've got a chance. It's a sure win. My thoughts twisted again and again. Tempted by her words, I decided to test something. I crouched down holding my lower abdomen, looking at Ethan with tearful eyes. Brother, my stomach hurts again. My period was real, but the pain was fake. Without hesitation, he turned to go to the kitchen to make brown sugar water. I shook my head. Brother, I want to rest. He carried me back to the room, lying half reclined next to me with his arms supporting him. His hot palm pressed through my pajamas onto my lower belly. The warm sensation spread like vines rapidly winding throughout my body, heating my ears and neck. I buried my face in his arms and whispered, Ethan. I'm not dating early, so you don't date early either, okay? I bit my lip hard. Okay. He unexpectedly agreed. I greedily wanted more and, emboldened by his concession, crossed the line. Then wait for me, okay? He rested his chin on my head and after a long pause softly said, Okay. Between us, it seemed we reached an unspoken understanding. Some things didn't need to be said. Both already knew. On the day of the college entrance exam, Auntie Jo and Ethan came to see me off. Mom had heard that parents should dress specially when sending their children off for the exam. So on the first day, she wore a bright red cheapao, pulling Ethan along in a red short-sleeved shirt, symbolizing a good start. Both stood at the door, looking handsome and eye-catching. Seeing my nervousness, Auntie Jo twisted open a thermos and handed me some. Drink this to calm your nerves, may your path be smooth. I took it, it was sweet. In days, I thought of the cup of sugar water I drank in the hospital yesterday. Ethan checked my pencil case twice to make sure I didn't forget anything and said seriously, No holding back, you can fly freely now. I bent over laughing. My nervousness eased a lot. On the way to the exam room, I ran into my classmate Wangjia. He casually came over. What a coincidence, were those your parents at the gate just now? I proudly straightened my chest. My mom and my brother. He glanced at me and sighed. Does your family only keep the good-looking ones? I paused, pretending to sigh. Isn't that right? We exchanged a glance and quietly laughed. You shouldn't fall asleep during the exam this time, right? Oh, how dare I? If I fall asleep during the entrance exam, my brother would dissect me alive when I get back. I was surprised. Is your brother a forensic specialist? He nodded. At Sichuan University. I was speechless. A big shot was right by me. If only I'd listened carefully to that senior's speech that day. We joked along the way, as if going to a very ordinary exam. The 3 days went smoothly. Right after the last exam, the moment I stepped out, the tension released. Fatigue followed, and I wished I could sleep for 3 days and nights. Ethan laughed at me, saying I looked drained. That night after dinner, Ethan had to leave for a sudden business trip out of town. Auntie Jo was in the kitchen making cookies. She tied an apron around her waist, her side profile gentle and serene. Time seemed to have left few traces on her face. I stepped forward and hugged her. Thank you, Mom. Did you make so many this time? She touched my head with her clean hand. Made extra, so you can slowly eat them. Claire, you've worked hard lately. Mom's cookies tasted amazing. I shared them with my roommates before. They all praised them nonstop. I cupped my face and quietly watched her. The warm light outlined a soft atmosphere. Warm memories surged in my mind, connecting into one. Her gentle nagging softened all my years. The last batch of cookies came out of the oven. Mom turned to find an empty plate. Strange, where did I put it just now? I was drowsy and didn't react immediately. Until Mom realized the plate was in her hand, she sighed. Getting old. Memory's not so good anymore. After plating all the cookies, it was late, and I urged Mom to rest. She shook her head. Claire, you go to bed first. I'm not sleepy yet. Seeing her insist, I yawned and forced my heavy eyelids open. Mom, I'm going to sleep now. She looked at me gently. Go ahead, go ahead. Halfway out the door, I remembered something and turned back. After the exam, no one asked me how it went, not wanting to pressure me, but I wanted to be confident once. I whispered into Mom's ear. Mom, I think I did well this time. When the scholarship comes, we'll travel together. To see the sea. Mom had said she wanted to collect seashells by the sea. She couldn't help but smile and hugged me. Oh, good, good. Our Claire is amazing after all. The scent of Mom was on my nose. Her embrace was warm. I blurted out. Mom, I love you. After saying it, I felt shy and turned to run away. What I didn't see was that she froze in place, her eyes slowly reddening, silent for a long time, then hoarsely said, Claire, Mom loves you too. I quickly washed up and collapsed onto my bed, eyes rolling with tiredness. Within minutes, I fell into a deep sleep. After everyone left, Auntie Jo's energy immediately sank and she looked tired. She walked to the osmanthus tree and stood for a long time. The wind chimes hanging on the branches had long been forgotten. Wind and sun had dulled them with dust. She reached out to take it, but before she could, a gust of wind bent the tip of the branch first. The porcelain wind chime fell straight down, shattering into pieces. She blinked. Tears fell without warning, and her heart felt as if a chunk had been gouged out. In her mind, there were two little voices. One comforted her. It's been hanging here so long without anyone touching it. It probably wasn't important. If it breaks, then it breaks. The other crossed her fading memories to remind her, this was once something very important to you. She tiptoed, arms open, trying a clumsy dance, forgetting the moves several times in between. Suddenly, she whispered, See, I really am forgetting everything. What's the point of living when you remember nothing? Over these past years, afraid the children would worry, she forced herself to keep seeing doctors and taking medication in large amounts, while secretly losing clumps of hair. Outwardly, she appeared to be improving, but in reality, she was forgetting, slowly erasing the painful memories. Those who appear calm and peaceful often live in self-destruction. She fooled everyone else, but couldn't fool herself. Over time, those memories became part of her. Losing the painful memories meant also losing herself. Her pale fingers brushed the leaves, which had been eaten away by pests, torn and tattered. I'm sorry, I didn't notice you were sick. She found an unfinished bottle of pesticide at home, carefully sprayed the pest-infested osmanthus tree, then took the remaining half bottle back to her room. Inside the room, the woman lay neatly on the bed. Empty medicine bottles were in the trash bin. As the severe pain racked her body, hallucinations began. In a daze, she heard someone calling her name, Gichio, Gichio. The voice was familiar, but no one had called her that for many years. The person from her memory had died on a rainy night 5 years ago. No funeral, no gravestone, not even a memorial. She opened her eyes. In the hazy white light, a tall man appeared, his features still handsome and resolute after years apart. Iba, have you come to take me? She slowly curled her lips into a smile, painfully reached out, and offered her hand toward the man. But in reality, there was nothing in the room. Eventually, her arm relaxed and fell, and the person on the bed slowly closed her eyes. The door remained tightly shut. No one entered or left all night. The underlying color of life seemed to be endless sorrow and loneliness. When one begins to recall another, it means their fate with that person is nearing its end. Unfortunately, I didn't understand this truth at the time. One ordinary morning, Mom fell asleep and never woke up again. She died by taking medicine. By the time she was found, she couldn't be saved. On the bedside table was a brief farewell letter. Ethan, Claire, Mom is sorry to leave in such an undignified way. But death is not the end of life, forgetting is. If living means forgetting, then I have long been dead, only discovered later. This choice was made by Mom a long time ago. Don't be sad for me. Everyone has their own path to walk. I was happy to walk part of the way with you, but I could only go this far. Someone else is waiting for me. He's waited a long time for me to finish seeing this world and be with him. I can't bear to leave him alone in that other world. Claire, Mom wants you to know that Mom loves you very much. You were never a burden. You fulfilled Mom's regrets. Having such a lovely daughter in the last years of my life was my honor. I'm sorry I never attended your parent meetings, not because I didn't want to. I often imagine standing by your side, proudly introducing myself as Claire's mom. But I didn't know that if I left, when others asked where I went, it would hurt you. Claire, be brave. You are a wonderful child. Mom is proud of you. Lastly, Mom loves you. Ethan, Mom owes you an apology. Because of Mom's selfishness and cowardice, I hindered you from pursuing your dreams. It was Mom's fault. I shouldn't have trapped you in the name of love. Everyone has their own road. You're grown now and responsible for yourself. Go do what you want. Mom won't stop you anymore. Remember to apologize to Noah for me. I'm sorry I took it out on him at first. Lastly, Mom loves you too. I just slept, and when I woke up, Mom was gone. Ethan just went on a trip, and when he returned, Mom was gone. Some people have actually seen their last moments together, but we hadn't realized it yet. Thin and weak, Mom was pushed into an iron room, and when she came out, she was a small square box. The moment I saw the urn, pulled out from numbness and stupor, I couldn't hold back the sobbing anymore. My chest twisted like a knife. Overwhelming sadness swept over me. Tears blurred my vision. Ethan, with red eyes, held me silently. The hall echoed with heartbroken cries. Some cried until fainting, others wept quietly. Elders with canes, white-haired sending off the black-haired. A heavily pregnant woman collapsed in despair because her husband had died, and a 2-year-old child, sucking on a lollipop, stared blankly at the door where his mother was pushed in but never came out again. All beings suffer. The world is a furnace of sorrow. All sudden departures come with long foreshadowing. The sudden decision to see a doctor, the gradually obvious treatment effects, the reluctance to attend parent meetings, no more dancing under the tree. No more staring at the door, the extra cookies made. Everything had already been assigned. I was just too foolish to notice. After handling Mom's affairs and returning home, everything seemed unchanged yet somehow completely different. By the windowsill, books were neatly stacked by the desk against the wall. A thin breeze blew through the half-open window, fluttering the pages of 100 Years of Solitude on the desk. The worn edges showed it had been read often. The wind rustled the pages softly. The unread sequel waited for the one who would never turn the pages again. The book remained, but the person did not. I sat in the kitchen, biting into the cookies Mom had made, my eyes dry and aching. I like sweets. Mom said she put a lot of sugar in this batch. But why couldn't I taste any sweetness? There was no flavor, only the salty taste of tears. So I stuffed cookies into my mouth desperately, until the long empty stomach twisted painfully, and nausea overwhelmed me, making me retch. Stop eating. Listen to me. Ethan's voice trembled with unshed tears. I couldn't hear what he said and kept stuffing more in, until he couldn't watch anymore and took the cookies away, dragging me to the bathroom, holding my face to make me throw up. I struggled and cried, "Let me go. If I finish these cookies, Mom will come back. She promised me. We'll go to the seaside together." If only I hadn't said, "I love you." I should have saved my love for later. Maybe then she wouldn't have left so resolutely. Claire. She won't come back. Mom really is gone. He gripped my shoulders tightly, voice tense, stating the painful truth. I stared at him blankly. Ethan pressed his lips together tightly, pale-faced, the pain in his eyes no less than mine. Yes, she was Ethan's mom first, then mine. How could he not be hurt? He just didn't say it. I slowly lowered my head and whispered, "I'm sorry." I understand now. His eyes were red but shed no tears. He gently hugged my shoulder, resting his head on my neck. His shoulders shook. The hot dampness slowly spread through the fabric, as if burning me whole. He said, "Don't be afraid. You still have me." Some roads in life are walked while crying. After finishing half a bowl of porridge, Ethan pushed me into the bedroom. "Sleep peacefully. You haven't rested for a long time." I held his hand, unwilling to let go. He lay down with me. For a long time, we could still hear each other's breathing. He stroked my head. Can't sleep. I stared blankly at the ceiling, tears streaming endlessly, as if I could never stop crying. Afraid to sleep. I feared that if I woke again, the last person beside me would also be gone. He silently reached out, gently touched my tear-streaked cheek, and wiped the tears away with his thumb. I said, "Ethan, you're all I have left." He said, "I won't leave." Moonlight poured by the window. Outside was an empty courtyard and a cold alley. The clock on the wall ticked, accompanied by occasional dog barks. All loneliness was shrouded in a misty haze. The next day, I woke up to find the space beside me empty, my heart immediately tightening. Stumbling down the stairs, I stopped when I heard familiar voices at the stairwell. Bro, those people finally appeared again. The batch of goods we caught last time belongs to them. Officer Noah sat on the sofa, his clothes rumpled, looking exhausted and dusty. Ethan sat opposite him, expression grave. Almost as soon as they heard my footsteps, they stopped talking. Noah skillfully changed the subject. "Oh, sis, you're awake? The entrance exam really drained your energy. You need to rest a few more days. By the way, where's Auntie? Out shopping?" He frowned, annoyed by something. Those people in the alley have such vicious tongues, spreading rumors with no limits. They said Auntie. He stopped, feeling the word was too unlucky to say. The living room fell silent. Noah looked at me, then at the people opposite, confused. "Why is no one saying anything?" "It's true," Ethan said calmly. He was stunned for a few seconds, his expression gradually stiffening. In disbelief, he said, "No, what kind of joke is this? I was only gone a few days. I don't believe it anyway. Maybe Auntie doesn't want to see me? Then I'll just leave. I've got a thick skin. I can come back when she's not angry anymore, right?" As he spoke, his nose tingled and his vision blurred for a moment. He reached back to grab his coat to put it on, but his hand was shaking, and he tried several times to zip it up but failed. "She asked me to apologize to you on her behalf." "She didn't mean to take it out on you," Ethan said. "Don't say another word." "I don't believe a single word." His voice was bitter and hoarse. Officer Noah didn't want to accept the truth, so he chose to escape. Unable to zip up his coat, he turned and ran out the door. I understood how he felt. After all, we had been through similar experiences. He had no parents, and for me, it was almost the same. Over the years, he had noticed how well Mrs. Joe treated him. He never said it out loud, but in his heart, he treated her like his own mother. But that's life. What you fear comes, what you hope for doesn't. Just like the snippets of conversation I overheard just now, I didn't fully understand what they were talking about, but I felt an inexplicable unease and panic. That uneasy feeling was confirmed after Ethan started leaving early and returning late for several days in a row. He got very busy, and the tattoo shop even closed down. His jet black eyes grew deeper day by day, sometimes casting a chilling cold glance that startled me. It seemed that after Mom left, he became a different person. As the vine that tightly bound him began to loosen, the bloodthirstiness once hidden beneath his gentle exterior emerged. His claws and fangs slowly extended, his wildness impossible to suppress. Between us, it felt like we were drifting further and further apart. He said he wouldn't leave. But it seemed he was about to break that promise. At night, I sat on the sofa waiting for him, waiting until the familiar roar of a motorcycle grew louder nearby. The bike stopped in the yard, but he didn't get off immediately. I went to the door and saw the man leaning against the bike with long legs crossed, holding a cigarette between his fingers. His side profile was sharp and defined, long black lashes lowered, and his brows dark and fierce, gradually blurred by drifting smoke. The light beside him was blocked by shadows. When he saw me, he stubbed out the cigarette. The emotion in his eyes gradually faded, replaced by a clear, gentle light. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" "I'm waiting for you." I slowly walked up to stand beside him, used my pinky to touch his cold fingertips, gently hooked them, and pretended not to care as I pulled him forward. The next second, his large hand forcefully pulled my fingers apart, turned my hand over. and locked our fingers tightly. His voice held a hint of a smile. Let's go. I quietly tried to slow my breathing to suppress the pounding in my chest. But my hand quietly squeezed his harder. We held hands all the way, watching as he closed the door with one hand, went upstairs, and finally fetched his pajamas from the drawer. When he flipped open the drawer, he cleared his throat softly. I turned my head and closed my eyes, signaling, "Keep going, don't mind me. I'm not looking." The drawer was quickly opened and closed again. Even when following him to the bathroom door, I still didn't want to let go. I don't know why. But it seemed that only by truly feeling each other's body heat could the uneasy heart find some solace. He looked down at me, hinting meaningfully, "I'm going to take a shower." I responded with a hum. He raised his eyebrows and emphasized, "Not just washing your face, taking a shower." I replied confidently, "I know." He shook the hand I was still holding tightly, eyes clearly saying, "I know you're not letting go." "Can I close my eyes and not watch?" "No." He gave me a cold glance. "Then can you leave the door open?" "No." His face flushed faintly. My eyelids twitched, and I suddenly looked up and suggested, "Why don't you skip the shower tonight?" He looked at me shocked, with an indescribable look in his eyes. "No." Finally, I reluctantly squatted by the tightly shut bathroom door. The door was frosted glass, so nothing was visible from outside. Inside, you couldn't see out either unless you pressed right against the door and could see a shadow from inside. So I sat with my back to the bathroom, palm pressed against the door. From time to time I asked, "Can you see me?" "Yes." After a while I asked again, "Can you see me?" "Yes." After a while longer, he said, "I can see you, always can see you." He quickly took a quick battle shower and came out, wearing long sleeves and pants tightly, black bangs still dripping water, sliding down his chin to his collarbone. He pulled me up from the floor and lifted my eyelids. "You're acting like a little pervert tonight." I was guilty and didn't argue. Just followed him into the bedroom, ready to confirm the accusation. We had slept clothed many times, mostly in my room, where I held him tight, not letting him leave. His bedroom was different, simple black, white, and gray. I climbed into bed naturally and squeezed in beside him. Reaching his hand, I quietly squeezed it tighter. He thoughtfully said, "What's wrong with you tonight?" I bit my lip and said nothing. Pinching his fingers intermittently, just as he thought I wouldn't answer, I suddenly said, "Are you going to leave?" Time seemed to freeze. Every hesitant second was like waiting for an execution to me. His voice was hoarse. Are you going to be a cop?" I know you're a cop, just like Brother Noah." "Are you going to work in another city? Can you take me with you?" "Wherever you go, I'll apply to college there. I can get in with my grades. I'll be obedient and well-behaved. I'm smart. I'm already an adult and can work part-time. I won't be a burden." I said every possibility I could think of, more and more incoherent. "Oh right, I forgot to tell you, I want to study forensic science. After graduation, maybe I can work with you. We'll stay together. Maybe I can help you solve cases like on TV. I won't trouble you. I promise I'll be very obedient. Ethan, please take me with you." I couldn't help but choke up at the end. Our Claire is too smart and too sensible. He sighed, lowered his head, held my face in his hands, and trembled as he kissed away my tears little by little. Then he pressed his forehead against mine. The wetness spread on the pillow, blurring whose it really was. The unease in my heart grew stronger. My fingers turned white from squeezing. He looked up and gently patted my back, like comforting a child. His voice was choked, forcing a teasing tone. "Don't cry so much next time. You're too young to ruin your eyes." The tears stopped, but the sadness inside still flowed. I didn't even know if it was Brother who was holding him back, or Ethan, or neither could keep him. Suddenly he said, "Do you want to hear stories about my parents?" Before I could answer, he went on, "My mom's life was pretty hard. She was the second child, with an older brother 4 years older and a younger brother 10 years younger. The family favored boys, so my mom did all the work, even taking care of the kids. They didn't want to send her to school, but when the college entrance exam was reinstated, the government emphasized education. She would carry a little basket to the school to pick pigweed, sometimes leaning on the classroom window to listen secretly. The teacher never chased her away. Between ages 6 and 8, she taught herself the first and second grade curriculum during those few stolen moments, and the teacher made an exception to let her study. She studied while still working, and after a teacher convinced her parents. Plus, it didn't cost money, and because intellectuals were respected then, she kept going. Before her college entrance exam, around 88 or 89, there was flooding in the Jiangnan area. Large farms were destroyed overnight. Her brother lost money to marry a wife. They planned to sell my mom to the village chief as a concubine. My mom refused violently. She cried and begged them, saying she was confident she could go to university and make money to help her brother get a wife. But they wouldn't listen. My mom ran away with no money, all night to the train station. At the station, there were performers and beggars. Mom was shy and tough, she couldn't beg, so she danced. That was the only dance she learned from school. But no one paid attention. After a whole day, she hadn't even earned enough for a bottle of water. The last train was about to leave, and she was desperate. Then a man in military uniform appeared. He said she danced beautifully and asked where she was going. He offered to buy her a ticket as payment for watching the dance. Mom didn't know where to go, so she asked him where he was going and pretended to be heading there with him. That year, my dad had just been discharged, 23 years old, 5 years older than my mom. But my mom loved to read, and my dad had seen more of the world. They talked happily on the train and felt like soulmates. When they got off, he found out she tricked him but just praised her cleverness. One brave, one kind-hearted, one dared to follow, one dared to shelter. They worked in factories, ran stalls, and scavenged junk together. Slowly, they fell in love and planned to marry, but didn't have household registration. Mom suggested living together, but Dad refused. He took his savings back to Mom's hometown, secured her household registration, and severed her ties with that family. They married openly and held a simple wedding. Afterward, Dad worked as a taxi driver for a while, and Mom taught at a rural primary school. Their life was hard but sweet. When I was born, Dad was a policeman, and Mom took care of me while running small businesses. Life wasn't great, but at least they had a steady income. Mom had a difficult labor. Funny enough, Dad rushed into the delivery room upon hearing her screams, despite being a man. The doctors tried to stop him, but he held Mom's hand and shouted at the doctor to save the mother, not the baby. The doctor said the baby was perfectly fine and couldn't be abandoned. Ethan's tone was humorous, and I laughed through my tears. He stroked my head and continued speaking. Later, both mother and child were safe. After my mom finished her postpartum confinement, my dad went to the hospital to get a vasectomy, saying he would never have another child. Our family was a typical loving mother, strict father setup. When I was a kid, if I made my mom angry, my dad would come home from work and definitely give me a beating. But they both loved me very much. Since I was little, I thought my dad was really cool and admired him a lot. Every time I heard about him catching bad guys, I felt like my dad was a great hero. No matter how tough my dad was outside, he was very good to my mom at home. My mom always managed the money. My dad said his workplace provided meals, so he didn't need to spend money. Whenever he was home, he did the housework. He taught me since I was young, a man must see work with his eyes and keep a home in his heart. He would wash my mom's feet and massage her shoulders. Knowing she liked osmanthus flowers, he planted a whole yard full of them. The only downside was my dad never attended parent-teacher meetings. I took my mom's surname, and the father's information field on school forms was always left blank. He never took photos, and because we were poor back then, my mom and dad never even had a wedding photo together. Later, my dad got busier and busier. Sometimes he wouldn't come home even once in 6 months. Our neighbors already didn't like my mom and mocked her, saying my dad had someone else. When asked about his work, my dad never said. Just when I was about to lose hope in him, my mom still believed he wouldn't betray her. One year, my dad was shot and carried home, and only then did we vaguely realize his job might not be ordinary. He stayed home nursing his wounds for half a year. During that time, he never directly told me what he did. He just took me to recognize the difference between poppies and opium flowers and told me to always remember what poison plants look like, destroy them if I see them. That's when I understood what he did. I asked him if it was worth it. He said, "Someone has to do the things others don't want to." Influenced by my dad's heroism, I applied to the police academy at university, wanting to follow his path and become someone great. After his recovery, he got busy again and rarely came home. The last time he left, he promised my mom he'd come back for her birthday. But unfortunately, on my mom's birthday in 2012, what came back was not my dad alive, but his ashes and a first-class merit flag presented by their leader. My dad died in a fierce fight against drug dealers during a border narcotics bust. According to his comrades, his chest was blown to pieces and his calf was blown off by a grenade. After that operation, the drug dealers went into hiding. To protect the family from retaliation, my dad's funeral was canceled, no headstone was erected, and even on tomb sweeping day, they couldn't visit his grave. My mom fell into despair after that. She even developed a psychological shadow about the job and became very anxious about my safety. She begged me not to follow in my dad's footsteps. So after I graduated from college, within 6 months, I moved here with my mom to start over. Noah was my best friend at university. He kind of guessed what happened to my dad. You already know the rest of the story. My heart felt like it was squeezed by an invisible hand, suffocating me. I never imagined such a tragic and heroic story. No wonder I never saw Auntie celebrate her birthday. No wonder she never went to sweep the tomb. No wonder she was so anguished every 5th of the month, bearing the unbearable on what should have been the happiest day. When she called my dad a short-lived ghost and said he deserved to die early, how much pain she must have felt inside. I don't dare imagine how she survived those years. Uncle died at 46, so Auntie chose to die by suicide at 46, unwilling to live a day longer. For her, her husband's death wasn't a storm, it was a long, wet season for the rest of her life. The things he and Officer Noah talked about a few days ago, which made no sense to me before, suddenly became clear. One after another, they go forward. He will also follow Uncle's path and become a narcotics cop. I have no words to persuade him. I have no standing and no reason to say anything. No one can forgive for another, and no one can stop another from leaving. Some people have wind in their blood, destined to run all their lives. And as they run forward, some will inevitably fall behind. I once read a line in a book. If you long for something, you must first set it free. If it returns to you, it belongs to you. If it never comes back, you never had it. This applies to people and love as well. I wiped my tears and asked as calmly as I could, "Ethan, when are you leaving?" "I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after." "How long will you be gone? Will we see each other again?" He looked at me silently without speaking. I tried hard not to cry. "I'll wait for you. Wait for your return." His eyes slowly reddened. He said, "What if you never get to wait forever?" I said earnestly, "No, that won't happen. Heaven won't be so cruel. I believe you'll come back." He said, "Okay, I'll come back." From then on, every day felt like a countdown. I tried to keep myself busy to distract from the pain of the impending farewell. One afternoon, while packing up my high school textbooks, a postcard fell out from a wedding studio. It was from when I accompanied my roommate to do a photo shoot, and the studio owner slipped it to me. She said she wanted me to be a wedding dress model. At that time, I was busy with school and politely declined. I wondered if it was too late to regret that now. Luckily, when I called, the owner said the invitation was still valid. That day, I took Ethan with me, secretly wanting to show the wedding dress to the person I loved. The dress was beautiful and dazzling. The young female boss asked if we wanted to be models together, saying we looked good as a couple. I smiled and shook my head, saying he didn't like photos. While I was being styled, Ethan quietly sat on the sofa waiting for me, wearing the intricate, beautiful white wedding dress. A diamond necklace rested on my collarbone. My hair was curled in gentle waves, lazily draped over my neck and shoulders. On my head sat a sparkling crown, and on my feet, delicate silver high heels. The reflection in the mirror was lively and beautiful. I walked out under the starry lights, feeling as if I had stepped into a marriage hall, a bride full of hope and love. Hearing the noise, he looked up and gazed at me quietly and long. It felt like even the surrounding air had frozen. There was a swirl of emotions deep in his eyes. He closed and reopened them, calm again. He said, "Very beautiful." I looked into his eyes and said slowly and clearly, "I do." Those 3 words were inexplicable and out of nowhere. Others might think I was crazy, but I knew he would understand. He was stunned for a moment, pretended to think, then smiled. I do too." I lowered my gaze, hiding the pounding in my chest and the unspeakable sadness. During the rest of the shoot, he went out for a long time. The studio boss, who was also the photographer, asked, "Are you two a couple?" I thought for a moment, "Not yet." She waved her hand decisively and said, "You will be. Don't worry. You two match so well. Love can overcome anything. Love can overcome anything. The road to true love is never smooth. Love faces many difficulties, but love also conquers them all." I'm willing to try to believe that. Near the end of the shoot, Ethan returned. He didn't explain where he went, and I didn't ask. If he wanted me to know, he would tell me himself. Love faces many difficulties, but it seems it's hard to conquer them all. Brother Noah and sister Shinlinshi broke up that night. Ethan, brother Noah, sister Linshi, and I all gathered for dinner. At first, everything was fine. Until Linshi got drunk and took out her household registration booklet, slamming it on the table. Her trembling voice carried a desperate courage. "Noah, one question today. Will you marry me? If you say yes, we'll register tomorrow. I don't care about anything else. I'll wait for you even if it's 10 or 8 years. I've got youth to spare." Brother Noah showed no reaction, calmly pushing away the wine glass in front of her. "You're drunk. Noah, I'll ask you one last time, will you marry me or not?" The man teased, raising his eyes. "Wasn't it you who said it was just for fun? Now it's just a breakup. How come Miss Shin can't handle it?" Her emotions trembled violently, staring at him in disbelief. Her face stiffened, and she spoke slowly and deliberately. "Fine, I'm Shinlinshi, the shameless one, forcing someone who doesn't want me to marry me. I'm the disgrace. There are plenty of people who want to marry me. Why am I chasing after you?" Brother Noah clenched his fist tightly by his side, his face pale as paper, but he pretended to be relaxed. "Well, congratulations on your upcoming wedding in advance. Maybe someday I'll be invited to your wedding feast." The next moment, his face was splashed with wine. Linshi slammed the glass heavily on the table, grabbed her registration booklet, and left without looking back. Outside the alley, a black car waited. The driver had been there for a long time. Until the last sound of the car disappeared. The man suddenly slapped his own face hard again and again, eyes filled with unbearable pain. He covered his face with his hands, deeply bowed his head, and cried bitterly and intensely. I didn't want to say that, but I can't hold her back. She clearly has better choices and will have a better life. Nothing in this world can stand up to scrutiny. If you examine anything closely, there's always some grievance hidden inside. The dinner table fell into silence, and restrained sobbing grew louder. A heavy, oppressive atmosphere spread around, as if everyone there was being tightly strangled by invisible hands, loving each other but unable to be together. I suddenly thought love was strange, mixed with dull pain. When love begins, sorrow is already lurking nearby. Partings always come suddenly and unexpectedly, leaving people unprepared. The night before, Ethan promised to go with me to see the photos the next day. But when I woke up, he told me he had to leave at noon. We only had less than 3 hours left together. And that day was June 22 ND. I had originally planned to use the modeling pay to celebrate his birthday, but now it had to be earlier. Ethan never lacked money from me, but this time I wanted to use my own money. So I went to the entrance of the Donkshire vegetable market. The rusty bike with a single horizontal bar was parked as usual. The horns still shouted, "Hair collected. Long hair collected. Braid cutting. High price paid. Hair can be sold. Hey, little girl, selling your hair? The same barber. Selling. 200 okay? No. 300, tops 300. No. Then I won't buy. He saw I was in a hurry and deliberately lowered the price. 300 it is. Because of school pressure in high school, my hair was too long and washing it took time, so I cut it once. For years later, my hair only grew a little longer than back then. I didn't have time to argue with him further. 300 yuan was enough. But I forgot about the cunning shrewdness of merchants. The cold scissors cut through my hair. I couldn't see how he did it, just felt handfuls of hair falling, my scalp chilly, and I felt much lighter. He said he would only cut to my chin, but when I looked in the mirror, I realized he cut it right to the scalp. I was forcibly shaved into a buzz cut. The middle-aged man spit on his hand, counted out 3 red bills, and handed them to me. My lips trembled with anger. You never said you'd cut this short. He glanced sideways at me. That's how we do it here. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, I can put the hair back on. He knew full well it was already cut, so giving it back was useless. I snatched the money. You despicable scoundrel, you'll get your comeuppance sooner or later. Then I turned and walked away. At that hour, most cake shops in town hadn't opened yet. I ran to many before finally finding one open. Sis, please, hurry up, I beg you. An hour later, I was carrying a freshly made blueberry cake to a nearby flower shop. Boss, a bouquet of sunflowers, please. After buying those, I had only 8 yuan and 7 cents left in my pocket. Looking at what I held, the sense of fulfillment softened the sting of my haircut, but Ethan didn't look as happy as I imagined when he saw the cake and flowers. He stared at my hairstyle, pursed his lips tightly, and finally softly cursed, "You little fool." I caught the faint glimmer of tears in his eyes and hurried over. Stop, don't cry. The elders say crying before a farewell brings bad luck for half a lifetime. I fanned his eyes with my hand repeatedly. His throat choked, and when he looked up again, his eyes were full of helplessness. I breathed a sigh of relief and, like before, pulled him to light the candles together. The flickering candlelight blended with the warm sunshine pouring in. Ethan, happy birthday. At the same time, he leaned close and whispered something in my ear. But my right ear was completely deaf now. I could only look at him blankly. He calmly averted his gaze and said casually, "Nothing, just wishing you a happy birthday." I believed him. We closed our eyes to make a wish together. This year, I wished for his safe journey and that we could have many years together. As usual, he tried to put the first dab of cream on my forehead, but I dodged and quickly flicked some on his brow instead. "I'm giving you all my future good luck. Give it back when you come home." He usually didn't like sweets, but this time he forced himself to eat all the cake with me. Before leaving, he reached out to rub my head and said with surprise, "It's still a bit prickly. Then don't touch it." He chuckled, a slight smile curling at his lips. "Next time I come back, it won't be prickly anymore." He took nothing when he left, except an old, worn 10 yuan bill and the bouquet of sunflowers. I stood at the door, watching him and brother Noah's backs until they disappeared at the end of the road. Strangely, I didn't feel very sad, just heavy and unsure what the feeling was. My eyes stung, but I couldn't cry, only bitterness filled my mouth. Later I realized that feeling was numbness. Before going to bed, I found a set of keys and a bank card under my pillow. Ethan left me the small house and his savings from all these years. Tears welled up suddenly, as if caught in an acid rain. After they all left, I lived alone in the small house. The college entrance exam results came out. Being in the top 100 province-wide, the school gave me a scholarship of 100,000 yuan. I enrolled in forensic medicine at Sichuan University. The teachers and classmates were nice, but I seemed to have lost the desire for entertainment. I spent my days either in the library or the lab. Studying became my only way to pass time. Every year I'd visit the alley, check if he had returned, and clean the small house inside and out. In sophomore year, I heard my dad was released from prison. He had gone south with a casino boss named Zhu to make money. Life passed like counting beads, day after day slipping through my hands, forming weeks, months, years. In senior year, I interned at West China Hospital and met a senior who treated me well. Coincidentally, he was the older brother of my high school classmate Wangjia, named Wang Yanli. At first, I didn't recognize him. After graduation, I took the hometown police exam with him and worked in the criminal investigation team, hoping someday to work with Ethan. I wasn't afraid of hardship or fatigue and was quite bold. Sometimes they'd praise me as being more capable than men, saying I brought honor to female forensic doctors. In these 6 years, whenever I felt tired of everything, I'd think of him, knowing he lived somewhere in this world, existing. And I could endure it all. His presence was important to me. Thinking of him made time fragile. I never understood how days with them could feel both long and short, so I kept savoring those memories. Living on them was already happiness enough. If I deleted any moment they appeared in my life, I wouldn't be who I am today. One day, I was writing a report. Suddenly, my heart twitched. The pen fell from my hand to my feet. My heart felt shattered. Breathing became painful, my limbs numb, tears streaming unconsciously, sadness so intense it made me want to vomit. It was like a distant tree connected spiritually to me was being cut down. Claire, what's wrong? Senior Wang Yanli, working nearby, saw me like this and hurried over. I grabbed his sleeve. Senior, I want to take leave. Now. To Puji Temple. Over the years, I occasionally had such episodes, but never this intense. Falling in love with someone is like serving a god who could fall at any moment. Every breath depends on him. I was too scared and needed something for safety. They said wishes made at Puji Temple were most effective. When powerless to despair, all that's left is faith. Standing before the temple, my heart still fluttered. It rained heavily. The senior didn't trust me to come alone, quietly holding an umbrella beside me. I refused the umbrella, afraid my heart wasn't sincere and Buddha wouldn't hear me. Seeing he couldn't convince me, he took off his umbrella too. Soon both of us were drenched, looking like two drenched crazy people to passers-by. The sky was gloomy, as if split by countless cracks. The rain roared like thunder. Trees shook violently beside the stone steps, and big raindrops pelted down relentlessly. People were sheltering, but we stood straight in the downpour, strange and out of place. The temple was built on a mountain, with 108 steps from foot to summit. Ignoring others, I knelt and kowtowed 3 times at each step, head to ground, knees on stone. The dull thuds were broken by raindrops, each one a prayer for his safety. Countless times I clasped my hands and called his name. My forehead was scraped bleeding by gravel, knees bruised. I only hoped Buddha saw my sincerity. Clenching my teeth, I climbed the last step, but the temple gate slowly closed before my eyes. In the gap stood an old monk in dark robes, holding prayer beads. His brow solemn. If no fate, how meet? If no debt, how? Fate was shallow, it has ended. No more debts between you. Devotee, please leave. The moment the gate closed completely, chanting echoed through the mountain. In a daze, I heard someone calling my name, but when I turned, only fierce wind blew behind me. Confusion and despair swept over me. I didn't know where to go. That day, I said goodbye to his back. I thought I would wait many years before seeing him again, but actually, our reunion would be in the next life. One ordinary morning, I walked into the autopsy room as usual, but found lying on the table was the person I most wanted to see. Name of deceased: Ethan, age 31, male, height about 186 centimeters, weight 75 kilograms, time of death, 48 hours. I couldn't hear the rest clearly. My ears buzzed. Claire, do you know the deceased? No. Then you do the autopsy. Okay. I pretended to be calm. The senior looked at me twice, but said nothing. I unclenched my stiff right fist, palm holding a crumpled 10 yuan bill folded into a small triangle. I thought I'd cry, scream, roar. But actually, I felt nothing. My emotions were completely detached, my heart calm and still. It turns out when grief reaches its peak, one suddenly becomes calm, so calm I finished the whole procedure expressionlessly. With his body came a video documenting the 30 hours of horrific torture he endured. Those drug dealers burned his body, smashed his bones inch by inch with a hammer, whipped him until he was covered in wounds. When he was near unconsciousness, they poured salt into the wounds and repeatedly beat his face and head, finally torturing him to death alive. This was the dying, powerless, and despicable struggle after the largest border drug cartel was smashed by Chinese forces. Ethan was undercover for 6 years, cooperating with the Chinese police to wipe out the arrogant border drug cartel. But just as he was about to leave safely, his identity was exposed, and the dealers took brutal revenge. In the hospital, Noah, whom I hadn't seen in 6 years, lay on a bed. His body was wrapped in bandages, wearing blue-striped patient clothes. His right hand and left leg were missing. He said, "Little Claire, long time no see." I said, "Long time no see." We silently stared at each other for a long time. Tears uncontrollably surged. "Noah, why can't Ethan come back suddenly?" He paused, with a pained expression, struggling to speak. "It's your dad. He was tricked into trafficking humans at the border. Because he carried small amounts and had a low success rate, the others were unhappy. To survive, he absurdly pushed you out, saying he had a daughter who could be used to fool them. Brother Zhou secretly blocked your info. So when the mission was wrapping up, your dad saw Brother Zhou and insisted he was a cop. Actually, Brother Zhou just wanted revenge, but accidentally stumbled onto the truth. After his identity was exposed, he covered us so we could leave first, but never got out himself." I leaned stiffly against the wall. My brain suddenly blanked. I never imagined reality could be so absurd and cruel. "So where is my dad now?" "Dead. Died of a drug relapse." I didn't know whether to laugh that he deserved to die, or feel sorry for my Ethan, wronged by the world. Or maybe hate myself, thinking I was the one who dragged him down. A long silence passed. He cautiously asked, "Has she been all right these years?" Then bitterly joked, "Good thing I didn't hold her back then, or I'd be a useless man now." 2 years ago, she had a car accident and became a vegetable. Because her family forced her into marriage, she got drunk and drove recklessly up the mountain. She and the car both tumbled down. She's been waiting for you. In the empty hospital room, 2 miserable souls abandoned by the world exchanged the information they most wanted to know, while driving the deepest arrows into each other's hearts. I went home and slept for 2 days, foolishly thinking it was all a dream and waking up would make it better. But waking up was still reality. This is Ethan's ashes and belongings. According to his will, these are to be handed to his fiancée, Miss Claire. I froze on the spot. Among the belongings were hundreds of my sketches and a diamond ring. When I thought I hadn't kept up with him, looking back I realized he had been watching my back for many years. I couldn't help but tremble, a faint bitter smile curling at my lips. The ring fit perfectly on my finger. Holding the wooden box in my arms, I whispered, "Ethan, I'm coming to bring you home." Outside the wind was strong, autumn thick in the air. The road littered with yellowed leaves flying in the sky and falling to the ground. I walked sorrowfully, my eyes filled with boundless grief and emptiness, my steps feeling like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Suddenly I was bumped by a 3-year-old child chasing leaves by the roadside, his mother following protectively. The little boy instinctively bowed his head and said, "Sorry, Grandma, I didn't mean to bump you." I looked back at him. "It's okay." But he stared at me with confusion in his eyes. I kept walking. Behind me, the child's innocent voice asked, puzzled, "Mom, didn't you say people with white hair are called grandma?" But that lady was clearly older sister. "That's weird." "Sho, baby, you think it's strange because she's going through pains you can't understand." The little boy looked on blankly as I walked away. The sky darkened and the sunset faded. She swayed forward, her gray hair blending with the desolate autumn scene. Passing by a flower shop, I stood outside. "Boss, please give me a bouquet of sunflowers. My husband doesn't like chrysanthemums." I hugged them as I returned to the alley. The osmanthus in the yard was blooming, petals falling everywhere in the wind. I sat on the sofa Ethan used to sit on, gently touching the wooden box. It was as if it was him, alive and real. "Ethan, did it hurt back then?" They said in the video he never made a sound, not even a tear. "Look, I bought you your favorite sunflowers. This year, I won't celebrate your birthday." The time's passed, wishes won't work anymore. I paused. I won't celebrate it for you anymore. Sorry for dragging you down. If only I didn't have that father, I'd rather be an orphan. You're so silly, taking a 10 yuan protection fee, but actually protecting me for 10 years. I rambled on, not knowing if he was annoyed listening. Suddenly, someone knocked at our door. Opening it, a man in a trench coat stood there, tall and thin, with anxiety etched in his brows. He looked at me for a long time, his gaze fixed on my hair, a thin mist of tears forming in his eyes. I opened my mouth. Senior brother, why are you here? Seeing he didn't want to leave, I stepped aside and let him in. He sat on the opposite sofa. I saw you weren't well and wanted to check on you. You know each other? I raised the ring on my finger. He's my husband. He was silent for a moment, then spoke softly with comforting tone. Sorry for your loss. Please accept my condolences. I forced a faint smile, tears streaming silently inside. After a long silence, he suddenly said, the poplar leaves in Kanas in October are the brightest yellow. The snow in Shangri-La in November is pure white. The mountains in Tingchong are covered with cherry blossoms in December. What I mean is, people need to look forward. There's a lot of scenery ahead. When I was 12, my dad died, my mom got cancer, and my brother was only 7. I was just like you back then. Later, I gritted my teeth and endured. My mother miraculously recovered. My brother grew up day by day. And after crossing that hurdle, everything got better. I began to appreciate the mountains and rivers. Even a wildflower could bring me joy. I calmly stated the fact, but you still have your mother and brother. I have nothing left. He looked serious. If you need, I'm willing to stay by your side. Adults don't need to say the unspoken words, although I don't know when he started feeling more than brotherly affection for me. I truly treated him as a senior brother. He's helped me a lot and taught me much over the years, but a person has only one heart, and mine beats for only one person. I have him, and that's enough. His eyes darkened a little. Senior brother, it's late. Thank you for coming today. I want to sleep. Then rest well. At the door, he hesitated for a moment, then turned his head. Then I'll book a spot for the next life. I'll queue behind him. Without waiting for my reply, he left. But I won't have a next life. The world is too bitter, so bitter that I can grasp nothing. I won't come back next life, so I won't drag him down again. I held the urn and walked step by step to Ethan's room, lying on his bed. Too much time had passed. The room no longer carried his scent. I thought maybe I was a bad person. So heaven took away everything I had one by one, punishing me by turning what I held into ash, slipping through my fingers. True love's path is never smooth. Love faces endless hardships and is itself hardship. Old sayings are lies. They say if two names can be linked, they're destined, but clearly we weren't. Peace Avenue was never peaceful. Countless memories replayed like a movie before my eyes. I watched my life as an outsider. The story's beginning didn't match the hardships along the way. At 14, I lamented fate. Years later it pierced my heart. Turns out, my life was always destined to be a muddy, difficult road. In a days, I returned to that day. But this time, I didn't walk into the alley. Didn't open the door. I turned and let the darkness torment and swallow me. Maybe that's the best ending. I'd trade my chance to reincarnate for peace in the world, no more drugs. Or I'd trade it for never seeing Claire Rivers and Ethan Shore again. My body grew cold, my breathing faint and labored, heavy blood taste rolling in my mouth, dripping from my lips to my chin and ears. Finally staining the white sheets with brilliant flowers. At life's end, I looked back. On the platform to the underworld, the departed stood waiting to greet me. After Ethan's sacrifice, he was posthumously awarded a first-class merit. As one of the most dangerous police forces in peacetime, China's narcotics officers' average age is 41. But Ethan died at 31. Drug enforcement is never a war without smoke. Some use their lives as blades, forging swords of flesh and blood to build a wall of peace. 1992, police number 013626 activated. 2012, police number 013626 retired. 2017, police number 013626 restarted. 2023, Police number 013626 permanently retired. Retirement is remembrance. Reactivation is inheritance. When the badge restarts, I become you. Many years later, the story of the Perez father and son became widely known. People on Peace Avenue realized the hooligans they once feared and despised were actually narcotics officers. Some visited the heroes' former homes, finding only desolation. Others went to the cemetery to pay respects. As long as someone remembers their sacrifice, someone will remember the evil of drug trafficking and addiction, and the cause of drug enforcement will have hope. On a gray, silent morning, the cemetery was shrouded in mist like a veil. 2 tombstones were covered with bouquets. Red strings tied to the stones symbolized a wish that they wouldn't be separated in the next life. 1 was for martyr Edward Shore and his wife Rachel Jo. The other for martyr Ethan and his wife Claire. A quiet group stood before the graves, toddlers of 3, youths of 10. Adults from young to old, all solemn. In the east, the sun rose. The first morning light pierced the thick mist, shining on a red flag rising slowly with the sunrise. The red star illuminated the sky. Tears instantly filled everyone's eyes. The long march of drug enforcement is silently being passed on, generation after generation defending this land in their own ways. The cause of drug enforcement, a cause shared by all humanity, will ultimately triumph.